The rain fell like bullets. Emma Stewart stood at the iron gates, her fists pounding against the cold metal. Her dress clung to her skin, soaked through, heavy as chains. Water streamed down her face, rain mixed with tears she couldn't stop. "Mom, please, open the door." "Your husband is lying. I didn't steal anything from his room." Her voice cracked, raw, desperate. Inside, silence, the kind that cuts deeper than any word. "Mom, I'm begging you. Nothing." Emma's knees buckled, but she forced herself to stand. The storm roared around her, wind slicing through her bones. She pounded harder, her palms stinging. "Please, I didn't steal anything. You know I didn't." Footsteps, heavy, approaching. The gate didn't open, but a voice came through, rough, cold. "Stop." The guard. Emma's heart sank. "Mr. Stewart gave his orders," he said flatly. "You stole from this house. You don't deserve shelter here." "I didn't steal anything," Emma screamed. "She's lying. She's my mother. How can she—" "Enough." His voice was iron. "This gate stays locked until morning. Your punishment? Spend the night out there, in the rain, alone." "No, please." "Move, before I call the police." Emma stumbled backward, her breath catching in her throat. Fear crawled up her spine. Alone, at night, in this weather. What if someone came? What if some man found her here, helpless, shivering? She couldn't think about it. She wiped her face with trembling hands and turned away. Her legs felt weak, her chest tight. The cold was unbearable now, seeping into her skin, her lungs, her soul. She walked. Nowhere to go, just away. The road stretched ahead, dark and empty. Rain hammered the pavement. Her vision blurred. Then, lights blinding. A car. She didn't see it coming. Thud. Her body hit the hood, hard. The world tilted. Then darkness. Daniel Cruz killed the engine. He sat there for a moment, jaw clenched, fingers gripping the wheel. Rain drummed against the windshield. Unbelievable. He shoved the door open and stepped out. The storm hit him instantly, cold, relentless. He didn't care. A body lay crumpled on the road. A woman. Daniel cursed under his breath. Of course. Some girl out here in the middle of a storm, probably sneaking off to meet her boyfriend. He walked closer, irritation burning in his chest. No sense. None at all. He crouched down, grabbed her shoulder and turned her over. Then he froze. The face, pale, delicate, soaked, but unmistakable. Emma Stewart. His voice was barely a whisper. He stared at her, his mind racing. Emma Stewart. Richard Stewart's stepdaughter. His enemy's stepdaughter. The man who destroyed his father. The man who took everything. The man Daniel swore to ruin. And here she was, unconscious, helpless, delivered to him by fate itself. A slow, dark smile tugged at his lips. Well, well, he murmured. Looks like the universe has a sense of humor. He scooped her into his arms, light as a feather, cold as ice. Her head lolled against his chest. She didn't stir. He carried her to the car, placed her in the back seat, and slid behind the wheel. His mind churned. Where to take her? Home? No. His mother was there. Kind, gentle, too soft. She'd see Emma and immediately try to help. She'd ask questions. She'd ruin everything. Daniel didn't want help. He wanted revenge. He turned the car toward the outskirts of the city. The farmhouse. The gates opened slowly, creaking in the wind. The farmhouse loomed ahead, massive, isolated, surrounded by trees that swayed like ghosts. Daniel pulled up to the entrance. The guard appeared, blinking in confusion. "Sir, I wasn't expecting—" "Open the door," Daniel said curtly. The guard moved quickly. Daniel got out, opened the back seat, and lifted Emma again. She was still limp, still cold. The guard reached out. "Sir, let me—" "Don't." Daniel's voice was sharp. The guard stepped back immediately. Daniel carried her inside himself. The farmhouse was dark, most of it anyway. Only one light flickered in the hallway. "Sir," the guard said nervously. "The staff left because of the storm. Only the master bedroom is ready. The rest of the house, it's not cleaned." Daniel glanced around. Dust, shadows, silence. "One room?" he asked flatly. "Yes, sir." Daniel looked down at Emma. Her face was pale, lips faintly blue. She needed warmth. Now. He didn't have a choice. "Fine." He carried her upstairs, pushed the bedroom door open with his shoulder, and walked inside. The room was large, dimly lit, dominated by a king-sized bed. He laid her down gently, her wet hair fanning out against the pillow. She looked fragile, broken. Daniel stepped back, studying her. "Why were you out there?" he thought. "In the middle of the night. In the storm." He turned on the heater. Warmth began to fill the room. Emma didn't move. Daniel sat in the chair by the window, watching her. Rain pounded against the glass. His jaw tightened. Emma Stewart. She had no idea what was coming. No idea who she'd just fallen into the hands of. "Sleep while you can," he said quietly, his voice cold as the storm outside. "Because when you wake up, everything changes." He leaned back, his eyes never leaving her. Outside thunder rolled. Inside something darker stirred. Daniel stood by the window, arms crossed, watching her sleep. The heater hummed softly. Warmth filled the room. But Emma still shivered beneath the damp fabric clinging to her skin. He frowned. She'll get sick. The thought irritated him. Why did he care? Because she's no use to me dead, he told himself. That was all. He moved to the closet, pulled out one of his shirts and a pair of sweatpants. Simple. Clean. Dry. He walked back to the bed, holding the clothes. Emma lay still, her face pale, lips parted slightly. Her wet hair spread across the pillow like black silk. Daniel hesitated. Change her clothes? His jaw tightened. What would she think? He shook his head, cursing under his breath. Since when did he care what anyone thought? But this was different. She was unconscious, vulnerable. And despite everything, despite who she was, despite what he planned to do, he wasn't that kind of man. He dropped the clothes on the chair beside the bed and grabbed a blanket instead. He draped it over her carefully, tucking it around her shoulders. There, he muttered. Good enough. He stepped back, watching her for another moment. Then he turned away, settling into the armchair by the window. The rain had slowed, but the night was still dark. Hours passed. Daniel didn't sleep. He just watched, waiting. Dawn crept through the window, pale and gray. Emma's eyes fluttered open. For a moment, she didn't move, just stared at the ceiling, confused. Then panic hit. She bolted upright, her heart racing. Where am I? Her head spun. Her body ached. Nausea rolled through her stomach. She looked around. Unfamiliar room, unfamiliar bed, unfamiliar shadows. What happened? Footsteps. She turned sharply. Daniel stood near the window, arms crossed, watching her with cold, unreadable eyes. Emma's breath caught. You, she whispered. Me, Daniel said flatly. She scrambled backward, pressing herself against the headboard. Who are you? What do you want? Daniel took a step closer. You're in my custody now. I brought you here. Took you from the road. Why? Her voice shook. Because, he said slowly, his gaze piercing, you're Richard Stewart's stepdaughter. Emma froze. And that, Daniel continued, his tone cold as steel, makes you very useful to me. Useful? She stared at him, disbelief flooding her face. You kidnapped me? Kidnapped is a harsh word, he shrugged. I prefer rescued. You were unconscious in the rain. I saved your life. So you could hold me hostage? Emma's voice rose, edged with fear and anger. Daniel's expression didn't change. Yes. She laughed bitterly, shaking her head. You want ransom? Money? Her eyes burned. Then you're wasting your time. Richard Stewart won't pay a single penny for me. Not one. Daniel raised an eyebrow. You think I look poor? He asked, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Emma blinked. This farmhouse? Daniel gestured around. It's one of 3 I own. My business runs half this city. My name is Daniel Cruz. Maybe you've heard of it. Emma's face paled. Daniel Cruz. Everyone knew that name. Powerful, ruthless, dangerous. You. She swallowed hard. You don't need money. No, Daniel said coldly. I don't. Then what do you want? Revenge. The word hung in the air like a blade. Emma's chest tightened. Revenge? Against Richard? Against the man who destroyed my father. Daniel's voice was ice. Against the man who took everything from my family. And now? He stepped closer, his eyes locked on hers. I have you. I'm nothing to him, Emma's voice cracked. Don't you understand? He doesn't care about me. My own mother doesn't care about me. They threw me out last night, left me in the storm to freeze. You think they'll care if you hurt me? Daniel studied her, his expression unreadable. Emma's hands trembled. I'm worthless to them. My mother. She barely looks at me. Richard? He hates me. The only thing he's ever done is humiliate me. Remind me I don't belong. Tears welled in her eyes. If you want revenge, find someone else. Someone they actually care about. Silence. Daniel said nothing. Emma wiped her eyes roughly. Please, just let me go. No. Her head snapped up. I didn't bring you here to let you go, Daniel said, his voice flat. You're mine now, and I'll decide what to do with you. I'm not a thing. You are to me. His tone was brutal. Your stepfather owes me, and one way or another I'll collect. Emma's breath hitched. You can't do this. I already have. Daniel moved toward the door, his hand on the handle. Wait! Emma scrambled off the bed, her legs weak. Please, if I don't go back by morning, they'll... They'll what? Daniel turned, his gaze sharp. Accuse you of running away? Blame you for whatever lie they want to tell? He tilted his head. Let them. But you're staying here, Daniel said firmly. And if you try to escape, the dogs outside will tear you apart before you reach the gate. No one will hear you scream. Emma's face went white. Daniel paused at the door, glancing back at her. You're soaked. Change your clothes. He nodded toward the chair where the dry clothes lay. Unless you want to get sick. I don't want your clothes. Then freeze, Daniel said coldly. Your choice. He walked out. The door slammed shut. The lock clicked. Emma stood there, trembling, tears streaming down her face. She ran to the door, pounding on it with her fists. Let me out, please! No answer. She sank to the floor, sobbing. Outside, Daniel stood with his back against the door, his jaw tight. He could hear her crying. And for a moment, just a moment, something twisted in his chest. He shook it off. She's a means to an end, nothing more. He walked away, but her cries followed him, even when he couldn't hear them anymore. Daniel pushed open the front door of his house. The scent of jasmine and fresh bread filled the air. Home. Daniel? His mother's voice, soft and warm, awed from the living room. He walked in and found her standing by the window, her hands folded, worry etched into her delicate features. Mom? She turned, relief flooding her face. You're back. I was worried. Daniel crossed the room and kissed her forehead. I'm fine. But she wasn't convinced. She studied him, her eyes searching. Where were you last night? You didn't come home. Work, he said simply. Work. She didn't believe him. Daniel, you look different. What's going on? He smiled, cold, calculated. I'm close, Mom. Very close. Her face fell. Close to what? Revenge. The word hit her like a blow. She stepped back, shaking her head. No, Daniel, please. Mom? You're my only son. Her voice broke. I can't lose you. I won't. You won't lose me. That man is dangerous, she said urgently. Richard Stewart destroyed your father, yes. But he's powerful, Daniel. Ruthless. If you go after him... I already have. Silence. His mother stared at him, her breath caught. What did you do? Daniel's smile widened, dark and triumphant. I made arrangements. Arrangements? Her voice rose. What kind of arrangements? The kind that will bring him to his knees. Daniel, he took everything from us, Mom. His voice turned sharp, bitter. He didn't just ruin Dad's business. He killed him, drove him to his death, and then he walked away, free, untouchable. His mother's eyes glistened with tears. I know what he did. I was there. I watched your father fall apart piece by piece. But revenge won't bring him back. No, Daniel said coldly, but it'll make me feel better. At what cost? She whispered. Your soul? Your life? Daniel looked away. I've already paid that cost. His mother reached for his hand, gripping it tightly. Please, let it go. For me. For your father's memory. Don't become like him. Daniel pulled his hand free gently. I'm nothing like him. His eyes met hers, hard as stone. I'm worse. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Daniel turned and walked toward the stairs. I have things to do. I'll see you later. Daniel... He didn't stop. The office was quiet. Daniel sat behind his desk. The city skyline stretched out behind him through floor-to-ceiling windows. In front of him, newspapers. Dozens of them. Local. National. Every major outlet. He flipped through them one by one, scanning the headlines. Nothing. His jaw tightened. He grabbed the remote and turned on the television. News channels cycled across the screen. Politics, weather, traffic, crime reports. But not a single mention of Emma Stewart. Not one word about a missing girl. Daniel leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled, his mind racing. Where's the panic? Where's the search? He'd expected chaos. Expected Richard Stewart to mobilize every resource, every connection. Expected police, media, frantic appeals. But there was nothing. Silence. Complete silence. Daniel's eyes narrowed. Did they even notice she's gone? He thought back to last night. Emma's words, broken and raw. I'm worthless to them. My own mother doesn't care about me. He'd dismissed it then. Thought she was exaggerating, being dramatic. But now... Daniel grabbed his phone and dialed. Marcus. Yes, sir? His head of security answered immediately. Check the Stewart household, discreetly. I want to know if they've reported anything. Police, private investigators, anything. Understood. I'll get back to you within the hour. Daniel hung up. He stared at the television, but his mind was elsewhere. Her mother is her real mother, biological. And yet, he'd seen women fight for their children, kill for them, burn the world down for them. But Emma's mother had locked her out, in a storm, at night, alone. And now a full day later, nothing. No missing persons report, no public plea, no search. What kind of mother does that? The thought unsettled him. His phone buzzed. Marcus. Report, Daniel said, answering immediately. Sir, I checked all channels. Police databases, private firms, even hospital records. There's nothing. No report filed for Emma Stewart. No activity at all. Daniel's grip on the phone tightened. You're sure? Positive, sir. It's like she never existed. Understood. Daniel ended the call. He sat there in silence, the weight of it pressing down on him. They didn't even look for her. Her stepfather, his enemy, hadn't lifted a finger. But worse, her mother. Her own mother. Daniel's chest tightened, an unfamiliar feeling creeping in. Not pity. He wouldn't allow that. But something else. Something uncomfortable. He stood abruptly, pacing to the window. The city below bustled with life. People going about their days, unaware, uncaring. Just like Emma's family. She was right. She was nothing to them. A nuisance. A burden. Something to be discarded. Daniel's fists clenched. Then why do I feel... He shook his head, forcing the thought away. It doesn't matter. She's a pawn, a tool. But even as he told himself that, doubt crept in. He turned back to his desk, his mind churning. If Richard Stewart didn't care about Emma, then holding her was useless. She had no leverage, no value. So what now? Daniel's jaw set. I'll figure it out. He always did. But as he sat back down, his thoughts drifted to the farmhouse. To Emma, alone in that room, crying, scared, abandoned. And for the first time in years, Daniel felt something he didn't want to feel. Guilt. He pushed it down, buried it deep. She's nothing to me. But the lie felt heavier than it should. Evening fell like a curtain. Daniel sat in his study, staring at nothing, his mind still circling the same thought. They didn't even look for her. His phone rang. The farmhouse, the guard. Daniel answered. What? Sir. The guard's voice was panicked, breathless. She's gone. Daniel's blood went cold. What do you mean, gone? She escaped, sir. I don't know how. You had one job! Daniel's voice was a whip crack. How does someone escape from a locked room with full security? She tricked me, sir. The guard's words tumbled out fast. She was crying, screaming for help. I went inside to check on her, and she threw dirt in my eyes. Must have been holding it in her fist. I couldn't see, and she ran. By the time the other guards chased her, she was gone. Daniel's jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Find her now! We've been searching, sir, but... Then search harder! He slammed the phone down and grabbed his jacket. Emma ran. Her lungs burned, her legs screamed, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. Behind her, voices, shouts, footsteps pounding the earth. Don't look back, don't stop. She tore through the trees, branches clawing at her arms, her face. The farmhouse was massive. Endless grounds, high walls, security everywhere. But somehow she'd made it out. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was the storm from last night. Cameras damaged, systems offline. Maybe it was the skeleton crew. Most staff still on leave. Or maybe it was desperation. Emma didn't care. She just ran. Hours blurred together. Darkness fell. Her feet ached, her throat dry, but finally, she saw it. Her house. Home. Relief crashed over her like a wave. Mom, I need to see Mom. She knew her mother would be worried, frantic, waiting. She had to be. Emma approached cautiously, staying in the shadows. The main gate was lit, and through the iron bars she saw him. Richard Stewart, her stepfather, standing there, smoking a cigarette, talking on the phone. Calm, unbothered. Emma's stomach twisted. He doesn't look worried. She shook her head. No, he doesn't care about me, but Mom does. She has to. Emma circled around the back, slipping through a side entrance she knew was always unlocked. The garden, the servants' door. Inside, the house was quiet, too quiet. She moved carefully, keeping to the hallways, avoiding the main rooms. Where's Mom? Her heart pounded. Fear crept up her spine. Not of being caught, but of what she might find. Or not find. She turned a corner into a narrow hallway. A hand shot out and grabbed her. Emma's scream died in her throat as another hand clamped over her mouth. Hard, rough, suffocating. Well, well, a voice whispered in her ear. Oily, familiar, sickening. Look who came crawling back. Emma's blood turned to ice. Richard. He spun her around, slamming her back against the wall. His face loomed close, eyes dark and predatory. Where were you, Emma? His breath reeked of alcohol. Out with some boyfriend? Finally giving it up to someone? Tears spilled down Emma's cheeks. She shook her head frantically, trying to pull free. No? Richard's smile was cruel. Then where? You disappeared all night, all day. Your mother thought you ran away with some boy. Mom thought that? Emma's heart shattered. Richard leaned closer, his grip tightening. You know what that means, don't you? She believes me now. Believes you're just a little whore. Believes everything I've told her about you. No. Emma's voice broke against his palm. Yes. Richard's eyes gleamed. And now? No one will believe you. No one will save you. He started dragging her backward, toward the far end of the hallway. Toward the basement. Emma thrashed, kicked, clawed, but he was too strong. I've been patient with you, Emma. His voice dropped, low and vile. So patient. All these years you fought me, screamed, told your mother lies. They weren't lies. But now? Richard's smile widened. Now I can do whatever I want. Lock you down there. Come visit you every night. Take everything you never let me have. Emma's vision blurred with tears, terror clawing at her chest. No, no, no. She bit down on his hand. Richard hissed, jerking back. Emma screamed, Help, someone! He backhanded her. Pain exploded across her face. She stumbled, her knees buckling. Richard grabbed her hair, yanking her upright. Scream all you want. No one's coming. He dragged her toward the basement door. Emma's nails scraped against the floor, desperate, futile. Please, someone, anyone. Richard reached for the door handle. Let her go. The voice was cold, deadly. Richard froze. Emma's head snapped up. Standing at the end of the hallway, silhouetted by the dim light, was Daniel Cruz. His eyes were black fire. Richard turned, still gripping Emma. Who the hell are you? Daniel took a step forward, slow, controlled. Let her go. Daniel caught Emma as she fell, his arm around her waist, pulling her close. For a moment, everything was still. Then, crack! Something hard slammed into the back of Richard's head. He dropped like a stone. Emma gasped, spinning around. Daniel stood behind Richard, holding a heavy metal pipe, his face carved from ice. Richard groaned, clutching his skull, blood trickling between his fingers. He looked up, and his eyes went wide. You, he choked out. Daniel's smile was a blade. Me. He grabbed Richard by the collar, yanking him upright with brutal force. I could kill you right now, Daniel said, his voice low, lethal. Right here. Right now. No one would stop me. Richard's face twisted with pain and rage. You wouldn't dare. Try me. Silence. Richard's breath came in ragged gasps. Daniel leaned closer, his grip tightening. But I won't. Not yet. Because death is too easy for you. His eyes burned. You destroyed my family slowly, piece by piece. Took everything we had. Watched my father crumble. Richard's face paled. So I'm going to return the favor, Daniel continued, his voice like poison. I'm going to destroy you the same way. Strip you of everything. Your business, your reputation, your power. I'll make sure you have nothing left. Not even your dignity. You can't. I already have. Daniel's smile was dark. The gears are in motion, and when I'm done, you'll have nowhere to hide. He shoved Richard backward. The man stumbled, hitting the wall. This is my house, Richard snarled. Get out before I call the police. Daniel smiled, dark, dangerous. Go ahead, call them. Let's see who they arrest first. Richard's face twisted. You don't know who you're dealing with. Richard Stewart. Daniel's voice was ice. Corrupt businessman. Embezzler. Murderer. He took another step. I know exactly who you are. Richard's eyes narrowed. Cruz. Smart man. What do you want? Her. Richard laughed bitterly. This worthless girl? Take her. She's nothing but trouble. Then let her go. Richard hesitated, his grip still tight on Emma. Daniel's eyes locked on his. Let her go. Now, or I'll make you. For a moment, nothing moved. Then Richard shoved Emma forward. She stumbled, falling to her knees. Daniel was there instantly, catching her, pulling her behind him. Get out of my house, Richard spat. Daniel's smile was cold. Gladly, but this isn't over. You threatening me? No, Daniel's voice dropped. Promising. Daniel turned to Emma, his hand clamping around her arm. You. His voice was sharp now, anger simmering beneath. I told you not to run. Emma's eyes went wide. Wait, I warned you. He pulled her toward him. But you didn't listen. Please, he was going to... I don't care. Daniel's grip tightened. You're coming with me. No. Emma tried to pull free, but he was too strong. Richard staggered forward, blood streaming down his face. Let her go, Cruz. Daniel didn't even look back. She's mine now, not yours. He dragged Emma toward the side exit, her feet stumbling over themselves. Stop, she cried. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Daniel's voice was cold. You disobeyed me, and now you'll face the consequences. Emma's chest heaved, panic flooding her veins. I just wanted to see my mother. Your mother? Daniel's laugh was bitter. The woman who locked you out? Who believed every lie he told about you? Emma's face crumbled. Daniel didn't stop. He pulled her through the door, into the cool night air. His car sat waiting, engine humming. He opened the door and shoved her inside, not gently. Emma hit the seat hard, tears streaming down her face. Please! Daniel slammed the door shut and walked around to the driver's side. Inside the house, Richard stumbled to the front window, clutching his head, fury blazing in his eyes. Help! He screamed, Someone call the police! My daughter's being kidnapped! Lights flickered on in nearby houses. People appeared at windows, confused, curious. Richard pulled out his phone, dialing frantically. Yes, I need help! A man just assaulted me and kidnapped my daughter, Daniel Cruz. Yes, the businessman, he's taking her now. But even as he spoke, doubt flickered across his face. Would they believe him? Daniel Cruz was powerful, untouchable, and Richard, his reputation was built on lies. Daniel slid into the driver's seat, his jaw set. Emma sat frozen, her hands trembling, her face streaked with tears. Where are you taking me? She whispered. Daniel didn't answer. He threw the car into gear and accelerated. The tires screeched as they tore out of the driveway. Behind them, Richard stood in the doorway, screaming, reporters already gathering like vultures. Emma turned, watching the house disappear into the distance. Her mother never appeared. Not once. Emma's heart broke all over again. Daniel's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, his face unreadable. Silence filled the car, thick, suffocating. Finally, Emma spoke, her voice small. He was going to lock me in the basement. Daniel said nothing. He was going to... Her voice cracked. He's been trying for years, and tonight, he said no one would stop him, that my mother believed his lies, that I was alone. Still, Daniel didn't respond. Emma looked at him, tears blurring her vision. You saved me. Daniel's jaw tightened. But now you're taking me back, she whispered. Back to that cage. Yes. The word was final. Emma closed her eyes, fresh tears spilling over. Why? She asked, her voice breaking. Why save me just to lock me up again? Daniel's hands gripped the wheel harder. Because, he said slowly, his voice low and dangerous, you're still useful to me. Emma's breath hitched. And until I decide otherwise, Daniel continued, his eyes fixed on the road, you belong to me. Emma sank back into the seat, defeated. Outside, the city lights blurred past. Inside, the silence was deafening. Daniel's mind churned. He'd seen it, the way Richard looked at her, the way he touched her. The basement door. Daniel's stomach twisted. He wasn't just going to lock her up. The realization hit him like a punch. He was going to... Daniel's grip tightened until his knuckles cracked. He'd stopped it, saved her. But why? Because she's my leverage, he told himself. Nothing more, but the lie tasted bitter. He glanced at Emma, pale, trembling, broken. And something inside him shifted. Something he didn't want to name. He looked away quickly. Get some rest, he said curtly. We have a long drive. Emma said nothing. She just stared out the window, tears falling silently. And Daniel drove, faster than necessary, away from the house, away from Richard, away from the truth he wasn't ready to face. The car hummed through the darkness, headlights cutting through empty roads. Daniel's hands gripped the wheel, but his mind was elsewhere. He glanced at Emma. She sat curled against the door, trembling. Tears streamed silently down her face. Her dress was torn at the shoulder, ripped by Richard's hands. Scratches marked her arms, her neck, her cheek. She looked shattered. Daniel's jaw clenched. Why did you stay? He asked suddenly, his voice cutting through the silence. Emma flinched, her eyes darting to him. What? If your stepfather is like that, Daniel said, his tone sharp, why stay in that house? Why not leave? Why not report him? Emma let out a bitter, broken laugh. You think I didn't try? Daniel said nothing. I told my mother, Emma whispered, her voice cracking. So many times. I begged her to believe me, to see him for what he is. And? She didn't. Emma's face crumpled. She never did. She married this man after creating my own father. She is obsessed with him. She always thought I am lying because I didn't like her new husband. Daniel's grip tightened on the wheel. He convinced her I was lying, Emma continued, her words tumbling out now, raw and desperate. Told her I was bad, that I had boyfriends, that I was trying to ruin their marriage, that I was jealous of their happiness. Her voice broke, and she believed him, every word. Daniel's chest tightened. I'm not like that, Emma said, her voice barely a whisper. I've never... No one's ever even... She wiped her face roughly. I don't have boyfriends. I don't have friends at all. No one wants to be near me. I'm too broken. Too much trouble. Daniel glanced at her again. She looked so small, so lost. The truth is, Emma said, her voice hollow, I'm invisible. To everyone. My mother, my stepfather, the world. I don't matter to anyone. Silence. Daniel's mind churned. She's telling the truth. He could see it. In her eyes, her trembling hands, the way she curled into herself. She wasn't lying. She was broken. And it wasn't her fault. Why didn't you fight back? Daniel asked quietly. Emma looked at him surprised. What? Tonight, when he grabbed you. Why didn't you scream sooner? Fight harder? Emma's face twisted with pain. I did. For years I did. But no one listened. No one cared. She looked away. After a while, you stopped trying. Daniel said nothing. His mind drifted back to Richard's hands on her, the basement door, the look in his eyes. He wasn't just going to lock her up. Daniel's stomach turned. He was going to destroy her, and her mother, she would have done nothing. Emma had been completely alone. You shouldn't have run, Daniel said finally, his voice softer now. Emma's head snapped toward him. I had to. I thought... Her voice broke. I thought my mother would be worried. I thought she'd be looking for me. But she wasn't. Emma's face crumbled. No, she wasn't. Daniel exhaled slowly. She has no one. The realization settled over him like a weight. Emma wasn't leverage. She wasn't a bargaining chip. Richard didn't care about her. Her mother didn't care about her. She was nothing to them, which meant holding her was pointless. So why am I still driving? Daniel's jaw tightened. He should let her go. Drop her off somewhere safe. Forget about her. But he didn't. He kept driving. Where are we going? Emma asked quietly. Somewhere safe, Daniel said curtly. Emma frowned. Safe? You kidnapped me. You locked me in a room. How is anywhere with you safe? Daniel's eyes flicked to her. Safer than that house. Emma opened her mouth to argue, but stopped. Because he was right. She looked down at her torn dress, her bruised arms. He saved me. The thought twisted in her chest. Why? She whispered. Why what? Why save me? Emma's voice shook. You said you wanted revenge, that I was useful. But if Richard doesn't care about me, then I'm useless to you. So why didn't you just leave me there? Daniel didn't answer. His knuckles were white on the wheel. Why? Emma pressed, her voice rising. Why did you come back? I don't know, Daniel snapped. The words hung in the air. Emma stared at him, her breath catching. Daniel cursed under his breath, his jaw tight. I don't know. He'd gone to the farmhouse to drag her back, to punish her for running. But when he arrived and saw the house, saw Richard dragging her toward that basement, something inside him snapped. He didn't think. He just acted. And now? Now he didn't know what to do with her. She's supposed to be my weapon, my revenge. But looking at her now, broken, trembling, crying, she didn't look like a weapon. She looked like a victim. Daniel's chest tightened. What the hell am I doing? You should have let me go. Emma whispered, her voice hollow. Let Richard do whatever he wanted. At least then it would be over. Daniel's head snapped toward her. Don't say that. Why not? Emma's eyes were empty. It's true, I have nothing. I am nothing. That's not... It is. Emma's voice cracked. I'm a burden. To everyone. My mother, my stepfather, you. Stop. I should have just stayed in the storm, Emma continued, tears streaming down her face. Let it take me. At least then. Stop. Daniel's voice was sharp, commanding. Emma flinched, going silent. Daniel pulled the car over abruptly, tires skidding on gravel. He turned to her, his eyes blazing. Listen to me, he said, his voice low and intense. You are not nothing. Emma shook her head, tears falling. You survived, Daniel continued. Years of abuse, years of neglect, and you're still here, still fighting. I'm not fighting, Emma whispered. I'm just... Existing. That's fighting, Daniel said firmly. When the world tells you to give up, to disappear, and you don't, that's fighting. Emma looked at him, her eyes wide, vulnerable. Daniel's gaze softened, just slightly. You're stronger than you think, he said quietly. Emma's breath hitched. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Then Daniel turned away, starting the car again. Get some rest, he said, his voice back to its usual coldness. We'll be there soon. Emma nodded slowly, wiping her face. She leaned back against the seat, exhausted. But as her eyes drifted closed, one thought echoed in her mind. He thinks I'm strong. No one had ever said that to her before. Daniel drove in silence, his mind a storm. What am I doing? He was supposed to hate her, use her, break her the way Richard broke his family. But he couldn't. Not anymore, because Emma wasn't his enemy. She was Richard's victim, just like him. Daniel's hands tightened on the wheel. This changes everything. 3 days later, Daniel sat in his office, the city sprawling beneath him. His desk was covered in documents, contracts, financial reports, acquisition papers. And at the center of it all, Richard Stewart's company. Daniel's assistant, Marcus, stood across from him. Everything's ready, sir, Marcus said. The deal is ironclad. Once Stewart signs, his company will effectively be under your control. And he doesn't know? Not yet. We've structured it through shell companies. He thinks he's partnering with a foreign investor. By the time he realizes what's happening, it'll be too late. Daniel leaned back, a cold smile on his lips. Good. Marcus hesitated. Sir, if I may, this will ruin him, completely. His company, his reputation, his assets, everything. That's the point. And his family? Daniel's smile faded. His wife will survive. She has her own money. He paused. And Emma is no longer part of this. Marcus nodded. Understood. After Marcus left, Daniel sat alone, staring at the papers. This is it, the moment I've been waiting for. Years of planning, years of waiting, and now Richard Stewart would fall. Not through violence, not through force, but through the very thing he valued most, his empire. Daniel signed the final document. Justice. 1 week later, the news broke like a wildfire. Stewart Industries bankrupt. CEO exposed in massive fraud scheme. Headlines screamed across every channel, every paper. Richard Stewart's empire crumbled overnight. His company, dissolved. His assets, seized. His reputation, destroyed. Evidence of embezzlement, fraud, illegal dealings, all leaked to the authorities. All traced back to Richard. Daniel watched from his office as the world consumed his enemy. Police led Richard out of his mansion in handcuffs. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Richard's face was pale, defeated, broken. Exactly how my father looked before he died. Daniel felt no satisfaction, no joy, just closure. He turned away from the window. It was over. Meanwhile, Emma stood in the farmhouse garden, the sun warming her face. For the first time in years, she felt light. Free. Daniel had kept his word. He hadn't locked her up, hadn't hurt her. Instead, he'd given her something she'd never had. A choice. Where will you go? Daniel's voice came from behind her. Emma turned, finding him standing a few feet away, hands in his pockets. I don't know, she admitted. I thought about going back, but there's nothing there for you. Emma nodded slowly. No, there's not. Silence settled between them. I saw the news, Emma said quietly, about Richard. Daniel's expression didn't change. Good. You destroyed him. Yes. Emma looked at him, her eyes searching. Why didn't you use me, like you planned? Daniel met her gaze. Because you deserved better. Emma's breath caught. You were never the enemy, Emma. Daniel continued, his voice soft. You were just caught in the crossfire. Tears welled in Emma's eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Daniel nodded. What will you do now? Emma asked. Move forward. Daniel paused. And you? Emma smiled, small, tentative but real. The same. They stood there, the distance between them both vast and fragile. Then Emma took a step forward. Stay, Daniel said suddenly. Emma stopped, her heart skipping. Stay here, Daniel said, his voice steadier now. Not as a prisoner, not as a pawn, just stay. Why? Because Daniel hesitated, something vulnerable flickering in his eyes. Because I don't want you to go. Emma's breath hitched. I know I have no right to ask, Daniel continued. After everything. But He stopped, struggling with words he'd never said before. You're stronger than you know, Emma, and I'd like to see where that strength takes you. Emma's eyes filled with tears, but this time they weren't from pain. Okay, she whispered. Daniel's expression softened. Emma stepped closer, closing the distance between them. I'll stay, she said quietly, but only if you promise me something. What? No more revenge, no more darkness. Emma's eyes locked on his. Just forward. Daniel looked at her for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. Forward. Emma smiled, truly smiled for the first time in years. And Daniel, despite everything, smiled back. 6 months later, the city lights glittered like stars. Emma stood on the balcony of Daniel's penthouse, a glass of wine in her hand, the night air cool against her skin. She'd changed, healed, found herself, and found something else too. Arms wrapped around her waist from behind. Thought I'd find you here, Daniel murmured, his voice warm against her ear. Emma leaned back into him, smiling. Just thinking. About? How different everything is now. Daniel pressed a kiss to her temple. Better? Much better. They stood there, wrapped in each other, the past behind them. Emma turned in his arms, her eyes meeting his. I love you, she whispered. Daniel's breath caught. Then slowly he smiled, real, genuine, soft. I love you too. He kissed her, deep, tender, full of promise. And for the first time in both their lives, the darkness lifted, replaced by something brighter, something real, something worth fighting for. Each other.